What's up? Elephant in the room. I have a microphone now. I got this from a pallet sale a couple years ago for $6 and never thought I'd use it, but we're going to try it, see if it works. Um, I made a video before. This is the second video. In the first one, I kind of explained why I was even making a video, questions I was asking, journey to figuring out is there a higher power, what makes humans different from the rest of creation. Um, so, following that video, we talked a little bit about a moral sense of right and wrong that humans seem to have. It's something that makes us special. And since we talked about creation, I thought I would just move right into what's after that chronologically in the Christian Bible, which is the fall, Genesis 3, the idea of sin. Um, like I mentioned in the last video, words like sin and like a lot of things in the Bible obviously carry a lot of baggage. So I would just ask that we look at this from as objective as we can without a lot of the baggage that's been brought on by, I don't know, people in our culture today that maybe you don't agree with. Um, so I'll just say up front, I'm going to talk about these stories that are in the Bible. I think that these stories are super powerful. I think they say a lot about the human condition, who we are, how we relate to God. If you're not interested in reading any of these stories because you don't think that they happened, you don't think that they're historically accurate, I would just say that I know Christians who believe everything is literally true in Genesis. Adam and Eve were the first real people. I also know Christians who believe this could be more like a figurative metaphor for how creation happened, and it's just a story to explain it. Um, Either way, I've seen these stories impact people's lives for the better, and that can lead us down a whole another rabbit hole of where do we draw that line? What do we think in the Old Testament is more of a figurative metaphor to help us learn what literally happened? Is all of it literal? Is some of it? Is none of it? We can go into that in another video. But pretty much after the creation of the world, I would just summarize Genesis 3 by saying uh, God created the world, He created people. Everything was very perfect. It was like utopia. God is like the ruler and creator of everything, and He delegates this responsibility to Adam and later Eve. He creates man and women, and they are assigned to rule over the earth, and they're supposed to be little mini ruler creators over that. They're supposed to be stewards of the earth and of creation. And everything is perfect, everything is good. There's a utopia, they're in a good relationship with God, they're in a perfect relationship with the world around them. God sets up one rule in the story, and that's that they cannot eat from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Um, so just one rule. And obviously, in this chapter, the snake, the serpent, ends up deceiving Eve. Um, the serpent goes by the name Satan, which is not just a cool first name. In Hebrew, it means like the adversary, the opponent. So he's the adversary to these characters. He kind of manipulates God's words and convinces Eve to eat of the fruit. He tells her, surely God, wants you to be happy. He's giving her the opportunity to be like God. And she ends up eating the fruit. So does Adam. They are both punished. So is the snake, because obviously God finds out immediately. They instantly feel shamed. It's true. Their eyes are kind of opened. They're able to see the evil that they've done. They're able to see good and evil. They feel that shame, and they're kind of banished from this garden. God does allude to the fact that there will be one coming who will restore that relationship, who will crush Satan ultimately. But for now, they're just punished. They're given punishments like childbirth, pains, and having to work the land, which is, interesting because doesn't your mind go to the fact that they're going to have babies and pick food somehow? But either way, these are the punishments that they're handed. And I think that there's a few interesting things about this. So, first of all, God tells Adam and Eve that if they eat from this tree that they shouldn't eat from, you will surely die. So, I guess my first thought is he lying? Is he all bark, no bite? They didn't die, they ate the fruit. I think my mind goes to the fact that this must be referring to the fact that they were eternal beings and had some sort of everlasting life in this paradise, and now they're going to be mortal beings because they ate of this fruit. I guess it could also be like a metaphor, like your life was awesome and now it sucks and you're being punished, which is like death. Either way, God says that you will die if you eat this fruit. They do. They're punished. Maybe they're mortal now. One other thing I thought was interesting, I read and listen to the Bible Project a lot. They're a huge influence on me, so you'll probably hear me talk about them a lot. But one interesting take they had on this was that the desire for man, Adam and Eve, to want to know good and evil is not bad. I think it's a good pursuit to want to have knowledge, wisdom, understanding, discernment. These are all favorable traits that people seek after in the Bible. The main negative of the story is one that God directly told them not to do it, so they obviously disobeyed. One thing that turns into a motif, a theme throughout the whole Bible that the Bible Project mentions, is that they were trying to do something maybe good, but on their own terms. Also, Satan, the adversary, tells them that they will be like God if they eat this. So you could argue that that's already pretty prideful, and that's bad. But what I'm trying to get at here is that people might read the story and think, yeah, they wanted to be awake. They wanted to be aware. They wanted to know good from bad. And the Bible Project's take is just that God was trying to teach Adam and Eve alongside with him in this garden on almost in his way how to be a creator. And he was attempting to teach them good and evil through his way, just showing them, his perfect way to get there. And there's obviously a shortcut, which is the wrong way, which he explained, which is to eat from this tree. So man tried to take this good thing and take it on their own terms, which obviously ended poorly. And that becomes a huge theme in the Bible of wanting to do something good, but not doing it in God's way, not doing it in God's timing, just doing it more selfishly, the way that you think is right. So anyway, I think that Genesis 3 is obviously super interesting. It sets up the rest of the Bible. It sets up the Cain and Abel story and then everything else to follow in Genesis. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the sin problem with this story. Maybe if you think it literally happened or if it's a metaphor. I wanted to keep this video shorter than my last one, so I just want to leave with a few questions. Like when we do something wrong, we feel guilt and shame. My first question is this built into us? Are we created this way? Are we designed to feel that guilt? Is it in our DNA? Or are these like learned feelings that are taught by society, by our parents? And if that's true, to what degree? With that, are we born sinful beings? Or are we born pure beings and then kind of ruined, tainted by the world? Next, how do you fix or reconcile that sin? If you're not religious and if you just simply feel guilty about it, do you just convince yourself that it wasn't that bad? Do you go and try and reconcile with the person you hurt? Is your philosophy, well, as long as I didn't hurt anybody, it's okay? How do you fix that sin? That answer will obviously be very different if you're a practicing Christian or not. last interesting question: is all sin equal, or are some worse than others? Um, I grew up in a Protestant denomination. We just kind of believe that all sin is equally bad in God's eyes. I know that sounds weird, but personally, like, different sins make me feel worse than others. So you have to reconcile that somehow. Maybe God's view of sin is different than our own and how we feel. But those are a few questions. Again, let me know your thoughts. Comment, DM, call me, come knock on my door. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out if you want to talk about any of this stuff. Thank you.